Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. It's Connor here, and we are back with another One Leeds video. We are back with another setting. Yes, that is correct. I'm in another place. Yeah, it doesn't seem that I'm getting any stability in the studio at the minute. So listen, it's coming back. Don't worry. The videos, we're going to make it more consistent. I keep saying this, but sometimes it's difficult, obviously, with respect to what's happened with the Queen as well. That does put a lot of your videos on the back burner that you had planned and all this sort of good stuff. But yeah, listen, it's a completely necessary reason why everything's been called off, which essentially means Leeds United are not going to be playing obviously against Nottingham Forest on Monday. It does put the Manchester United game in jeopardy as well. However, at the minute, they don't know whether or not that's going to be given the green light. So I thought I'd do something a little bit fun today. I thought we'd discuss with a coffee, a decaf coffee, because in this hotel they don't provide caffeinated coffee. What's all that about? We discuss if Leeds United have actually replaced Calvin Phillips and Rafinha. So looking at this at the minute, you look at Calvin Phillips at Manchester City. Obviously, he's not started a game in the Premier League so far. He's missed a fair few minutes when it comes to his injury. I was speaking last year about, unfortunately, Calvin, I maybe used the term injury prone, and I do sort of still believe that fact. I mean, I will call it a fact as well. I do think he picks up more injuries than a lot of central defensive midfielders in the league. But overall, Calvin was absolutely exemplary for Leeds United. He was the symbol for Leeds, and I never want to forget that. I have such still love for him. I really do, for what he did at Leeds and how incredible he was for us and how just imperative he was in that Marcelo Bielsa system. However, I did always think when he came back into the side and when Jesse Marsch took over, that he struggled a little bit in the narrow, compact system. So the question is posed, have Leeds United replaced Calvin Phillips well? Well, I would say yes, very, very well. Now, the reason I would say that is because I think the two people we've brought in, the two bodies we've brought in, were almost of an unknown quantity. You had Tyler Adams, who at Leipzig was maybe struggling, a few people would say, not getting as many minutes as he would have expected when he moved to Leipzig, and maybe had lost a little bit of confidence out there as well. Coming over to the Premier League, I'll be brutally honest, you guys know this, I wanted another individual because I thought he was a little bit more proven. I thought his trajectory was going up and up and up. He was younger, and I thought his complete profile would have fit this Leeds United side seamlessly. Now, I look back and I think to myself, would that individual in someone like Mo Kamara have complemented the other body who was going to be next to Tyler Adams in Marc Roca? Would he have complemented him as well as Tyler Adams has done? I don't think so, because I think Mo Kamara was a little bit more of a full profile, and I think almost there wouldn't have been the synergy as there has been between Marc Roca and Tyler Adams. I think Tyler Adams' profile enables Marc Roca's profile to really thrive in that double pivot. Tyler's not missed a minute so far, and I think that is imperative when discussing this, because I think when you look at his injury record in the past, it's decent, and what you're hoping for throughout this season is that he can keep that fitness record up, because I think we've struggled in that position when it's come to consistency, and I think naturally when you struggle with consistency in that position, that double pivot position, it could be a single, it could be a double like it is now. If you struggle in that position, you are struggling to screen that back four, you are struggling to keep Premier League opposition out. So it's a small sample size at the minute, a really, really small sample size. But in terms of ball winning ability, in terms of 1v1 duels, that side of Calvin Phillips's game, I think we've replaced him very, very well in Tyler Adams, because I think he's arguably more ferocious. You can't question Calvin's competitiveness, but on the field nastiness, I quite like that in terms of Tyler Adams, and I think maybe that goes a little bit above and beyond what Calvin had in his arsenal. His ability to question referees, and I wouldn't say that's an ability, to be fair. I would say that's another characteristic, another personality trait, and probably entwines itself with competitiveness. I think is a big thing in the Premier League. And I think that side of Calvin's game has been fully replaced. Now, the perfect side of Calvin's game is he was a full profile. He had the distribution, he had the ball winning ability. So you haven't got that in Tyler Adams. But Tyler Adams replaces one side of Calvin Phillips very well. I would also say ball carrying is something that Calvin wasn't very good at. I think Tyler Adams is better than Calvin Phillips at ball carrying, which I think is huge in a system where you're going to get pressed. So that side of it, I think Tyler Adams has been a great acquisition. We've got him for many years to come. He's also younger than Calvin Phillips, another massive tick. Now, for me, Marc Roca, you guys know my thoughts on Marc Roca. I think technically, ability-wise, I think he's the best player along with Luis Sinisterra in this Leeds United side. I think his vision, I think his ability to play progressive passes, I think his football brain is something that Leeds have managed to replace with a £10 million transfer exceptionally well. You know, you don't get a move to Bayern Munich if you're a bad player. And even Julian Nagelsmann has come out and said that it wasn't because Marc Roca was a bad player. It was just because he had an unreal roster of talent in front of him at Bayern Munich that he wasn't going to get in. You know, the likes of Leon Goretzka, Joshua Kimmich, etc. Which you've got to turn around and say, okay, you know, Tolisso there as well. They have an abundance of central midfielders there. So Marc just couldn't get in. Now, for snipping him up for 10 million is definitely a huge tick for Victor Orta, because I think his distribution is on par with Calvin's. I think he's able to move the ball longer, quicker than Calvin did. I think Calvin would maybe need a little bit of time. I think, you know, that 4-1-4-1 system would enable Calvin to have a little bit more time with the Leeds players really honing in and pressing. I think sometimes teams are able to bypass that press and press on Marc Roca a little bit quicker, which makes his job a little bit more difficult in terms of distribution. But there are only two midfielders in the division at the minute who have a stronger case in terms of progressive passes than Marc Roca, and that's statistically backed up. Marc Roca's made 47 progressive passes already. I love his bravery on the ball, and that can be said with Tyler Adams as well. I love his ability to pick out a pass even when it's not on. We've not seen him use his right foot when it comes to distribution as much yet, which is fine by me. That would alleviate a lot of pressure if someone's, you know, heading towards his left foot at top speed, but I don't think he needs to do that. If he's able to laterally pass the ball and maybe get it back on his left foot, open his body, switch that pass, that's good enough for me. But I think in terms of the distribution, we have replaced Calvin Phillips exceptionally well when it comes to Marc Roca. Now, when you look at the overall package, that is Calvin Phillips. I think Victor Orta has done a phenomenal job in replacing him with these two. I would have liked another backup, because I think you've replaced Calvin Phillips with those two perfectly. The one Calvin Phillips you replaced with these two. I think the problem with Calvin Phillips is we never had a backup for him. But as I said, with Tyler Adams, he's played every minute. Marc Roca's getting fit. He didn't have a bad injury record. He's not had a bad injury record. He just wasn't able to get into that Bayern Munich side. So overall, very, very well done, Victor Orta. Rafinha, my favourite player, your favourite player, your dad's favourite player, your mum's favourite player, your brother's favourite player, your sister's favourite player at Leeds United last year. Wonderful talent. I think he'll be in the top 5, top 10 of wingers after the World Cup. People will globally recognise this guy. There's an argument he's in the top 5 already. World-class talent. So how do you replace him? That's a big question. How do you replace that? Can you replace that? I didn't think you could. But Luis Sinisterra brings a different set of characteristics. Luis Sinisterra almost seems nowhere near as aggressive as Rafa, nowhere near as angry as Rafa, which I thought he was on the pitch, which is an amazing attributes, I should say, plural, and something that we all love to see, and almost fueled Rafa's game. But Luis Sinisterra is almost cultured. He's almost slick. He's almost no sweat off the brow when he's doing these things. You know, he's literally scored a Paul Gascoigne-esque goal against Brentford, and annoyingly, because of Leeds' diabolical defensive display, we weren't able to really appreciate what he did to Brentford that day when it came to that goal. That was a fabulous goal. The goal against Everton out of nothing, left foot. Fantastic finish. He's going to be a real player, everyone. And when you were isolating those two, our best players last season, well, our most important players, I should say, in Calvin Phillips and Rafinha, I think Victor Orta has done a phenomenal job. And I think Leeds United have done a very, very good job in replacing those two. And I think we have replaced those two to finish this off. And I think that is something that you've got to give the board kudos for. I think already, what is it? Sinisterra's got 3 goals, is it? In all comps. It's going to be interesting to see. I've seen a lot of people saying maybe he takes away from the system a little bit, because when you have Brendan Aronson out there, he really fits that systematic thing that Jesse Marsch has, and he's a little bit of an outlier, Sinisterra. But you have to have an outlier. You have to have a person who is going to win your games, and at points may not be perfect in the system, may not be absolutely perfect. But you've got to have that player in the Premier League. You've got to have that talent who potentially could be world class. I don't want to throw that round. I don't want to throw that term round a lot. But when you're looking at Sinisterra, when you're looking at him already, I'm seeing Rafinha, Escape already. When you knew within 2-3 games of Rafa starting how good he was going to be, and I think you can see it with Sinisterra already. Phenomenal replacement, phenomenal replacements for our top players. As I say, unfortunately, I think Leeds needed to do more. But when you look at these two and you look at the 2 players that went out, Leeds have done the job. They've replaced them very, very well, and I'm excited to see the 3 lads going forward. Guys, that's going to be it for your Sunday edition. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Have they been perfect replacements? Have they been not to the standard that you expect? Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know why you think Tyler Adams and Matt Rocker are maybe even better additions than would have been if Calvin had have stayed. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. Really interested to hear your ideas and thought process on this one, guys. Have a good one.